Okay, ready to dive in. We're tackling hypnotherapy this time, but with a pretty interesting twist.
Yeah, definitely interesting. I think you're going to like this one.
So we're looking at this conversation between a therapist and her students about her approach, and well, she makes some pretty bold claims.
Right off the bat, she kind of throws the whole textbook out the window.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like the whole, scripts and recordings thing. She's not about that at all.
It's way more about intuition. She says,
Mhm.
being present with the client and adapting on the fly.
So no two sessions are alike, basically.
Exactly. She actually compares it to having like a casual phone call with a friend.
A phone call. Okay, now that is not what I picture when I think about hypnotherapy.
Yeah. It's definitely a different way of thinking about it. But her point is that it's about building that rapport, that trust and connection, instead of just sticking to some rigid formula.
Makes sense. I guess,
Yeah.
therapy is all about that personal connection, right?
Exactly. And she talks about how she's constantly paying attention to the client's cues, both verbal and nonverbal, to guide the session in real time.
So it's like she's reading their energy and adjusting her approach accordingly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She even talks about how she had students who were able to use this technique successfully after just one training.
Wait, really? Just one session? That's kind of amazing.
Right. It really makes you question the whole idea that you need years of experience to be effective.
So it sounds like she's really tapped into something powerful here, something that's both simple and effective.
Absolutely. And you know what else is interesting? She emphasizes that this approach requires minimal effort.
Minimal effort. Okay, now you've got my attention because let's be real, therapy can be a lot of work.
I hear you. And she addresses that directly. She's talking about minimal effort for both the therapist and the client.
Okay, so no homework assignments, no spending hours listening to meditation tape.
Nope. This is about tapping directly into the power of the subconscious mind, which is where she believes true change happens.
Interesting. So instead of digging through past traumas and analyzing everything to death,
It's more about finding those subtle pathways to create lasting change at a deeper level.
this is fascinating. I'm definitely intrigued.
Me too. It really challenges a lot of our assumptions about how therapy should work.
So she's saying we can basically bypass all that conscious processing and go straight to the source.
That's the idea. And she even talks about how, like, a well-timed suggestion can create these huge shifts in the subconscious.
Wow. Okay, so it's about finding the right moment to plant those seeds of change.
Exactly. It's like she's saying the subconscious mind is always listening,
Yeah.
even when we don't realize it.
This is pretty mind-blowing stuff. But I'm curious, like, how does she address those clients who might be skeptical? The ones who come in with all these preconceived notions about hypnosis.
Well, she's very upfront about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she says something like, look, you don't have to believe in it for it to work. Just like you don't have to understand how gravity works to know that you'll fall if you jump off a building.
Okay, I like that analogy. So it's more about, like, just trusting the process, even if you don't fully get it.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting. She starts to challenge the whole idea that conscious understanding is necessary for change to happen.
Okay, I'm listening.
She argues that our subconscious minds are way more powerful than we give them credit for.
So it's like we're limiting ourselves by thinking we have to analyze everything to death.
Exactly. She's saying that sometimes the less we try to control the process, the better.
Huh. Interesting. So it's about surrendering to something bigger than ourselves.
And trusting in the wisdom of our own subconscious minds.
It's like she's saying, get out of your own way and let the healing happen.
Right. Which is a pretty radical concept when you think about it.
It is. So basically, she's encouraging her clients to let go of that need to understand everything and just trust that their subconscious minds know what they're doing.
Precisely. And she even says that this is often why traditional therapy can be so challenging for people.
Because we get stuck in our heads trying to figure everything out.
Exactly. We overthink it, we analyze it to death, and we end up blocking the very change we're seeking.
So with this approach, she's kind of like short-circuiting all that mental chatter.
In a way, yes. It's about accessing a deeper level of healing, one that goes beyond our conscious awareness.
This is pretty amazing stuff, but I have to admit, I'm still wrapping my head around it all.
It's definitely a different way of thinking about therapy, but that's what makes it so exciting.
It definitely challenges the status quo. And you know what else I'm noticing? This whole conversation seems to be pointing to a bigger idea.
Oh yeah, with that.
Well, it seems like she's suggesting that maybe simplicity is key.
Simplicity.
Yeah, like maybe we've been overcomplicating things all along.
Interesting. You mean like in therapy?
In therapy and just in life in general.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like maybe the answers we're looking for are actually much simpler than we think.
Yeah, and maybe we've been looking for them in all the wrong places.
Right? Getting caught up in complexity when the truth is often much simpler.
Exactly. And this therapist's approach, it kind of feels like she's tapping into that.
That's simplicity.
Yeah, like she's found a way to cut through all the noise and go straight to the heart of healing.
And it's not about some fancy technique or complicated theory.
It's about trusting in something deeper, something we already possess within ourselves.
Exactly. Our own innate capacity for healing and transformation.
It's like she's saying, stop overthinking it. Your subconscious mind has got this.
And that's a powerful message, don't you think?
Incredibly powerful, because it gives us permission to let go of the struggle.
To surrender to the process.
Exactly, to stop trying to control everything and just trust.
Trust in ourselves. Trust in the wisdom of our own being.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listeners to walk away with today?
That's a good question. I think it would be this. Healing doesn't have to be complicated.
It can be as simple as surrendering to something bigger than ourselves, something we may not fully understand.
Yes, and trusting that even when we don't have all the answers, our subconscious minds do.
That's a beautiful thought. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder. Until next time, keep diving deep.